All right, welcome everybody to the workshop of the Board of County Commissioners. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First thing we have is we have a special recognition. We have a gentleman in here today. Travis, I'm going to let you take it away.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, we had originally planned to do this prior to him actually retiring, but the plaque come in and it was not what we had anticipated. So we waited for a new plaque. Recognition award presented to Robert Englehart. And sincere appreciation for your dedicated service to Montezuma County. Your contribution was critical to our success. 3/14 of 2014 to 5/2 of 2025. So, Mr. Englehart, if you wouldn't mind coming down, we'll present this, get some pictures. Commissioners, if you wouldn't mind coming down and being part of that, that
Sure.
would be fantastic.
The only question I have for you is, did you just get up from your nap? Or did we wake you up from your nap?
You did run Gunsmoke today. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good luck to you guys and your futures. Appreciate everything. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, just real quick, Mr. Englehart, please don't come back complaining about your road. That's all we ask.
All right, well, we wait to hear that call, and we will transfer it immediately. Well, and then we transfer it immediately. All right, with that, we have our department updates, and with that, gentlemen, come on down, Road and Bridge. We have 3 of the foremen today with us, or 4. Pull up a chair, guys, and there's a microphone in front of you, and we can start from north to south, and we'll start with you, Ricky. Push. You got to push the mic, pull it to you as close as you can. We can hear you, but the people in the
We're
world out
crack
there.
sealing all of our roads that we have on our chip seal agenda for this year in the Cortez district, and we've got the Cortez crew and the Mancos Dolores crew all combined to get it all done. Take us about another week and a half to finish it.
Okay. All right. Dolores, Mancos?
Yeah, we're helping Rick over here on the chip seal job, and we get done with that, we'll go back to blading some roads and a couple of roads that need some gravel on them in certain areas.
Okay.
The Roundup District is blading all gravel roads right now. Currently, we're in Pleasant View area and working our way south. And we will be doing that for the next several days to come.
Crushing down McCalmo. We are rescreening chips. We got probably a day left on rescreening and 4 days left on our road base, and then we'll switch over and start making the half-inch chips
Okay.
for the chip seal this year. Be probably 4 to 5 weeks of the half-inch chips once we switch over.
Okay. Anything else?
Where are we at on
Question?
25-184?
Still waiting on.
Still waiting for engineering?
Waiting on the engineer plans, yes.
Okay.
Did we get that purchase approved? I think it was back in your hands to look at the plot or the.
Yeah, I'm looking at Don. I think we were also waiting for something from the engineers, to the best of my recollection.
it was from the surveyor, right? Is all he,
It's all done.
okay,
all done?
It's been sent over and ready for you guys to do whatever you want to do to purchase it, yeah.
okay.
Then it might be back with me.
Okay.
Okay, so it is back with you then, all right.
Yep.
Because I know we had approved it, the money to approve it, to get it done. I was just curious where we were at. So unfair question to you guys right now.
Yeah,
When we
But-
get it all done, we'll start on it.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So would you check on that then, Travis and Stephen?
Yeah, I think it's more me than Travis at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Answer your question?
Yeah,
All right.
in a roundabout way.
It's back in our hands, basically. Anything else? Do you guys have any questions for us?
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
all. Appreciate it. Ms. Black, Treasury. And before you even start, I just want to make this public statement that Montezuma County is the treasury for all of the taxes. The taxes is collected by the treasury and then distributed to all of the taxing entities or authorities that are on your tax statement. So we get this all the time, is like, well, we're paying you guys so much money, when in reality, we get only what's on county general and road and bridge. So just so that everybody knows, the evaluations are all out. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, make sure that you follow the instructions on the back. And then, after that, then they will be collected by the treasury. So, with that, treasurer,
Treasurer.
go ahead.
We get that question a lot as well, because people.
Ms. Black, can you hit your mic real quick? There you go.
Okay, so we get that question all the time as well, and why are our taxes going up? And really, Montezuma County's general fund hasn't, the mill levy hasn't changed, so if anything, I think it went down a little bit. So mostly, it's the schools or other taxing entities, but that's the largest one, is the schools. So it is an education process, which I think we'll be doing more of maybe this fall in preparation for what may be to come. So, yeah, nothing really new on our end. We've just been collecting, and that has gone well. We don't have the online part this year because our provider went away, and we're working with a new provider to get that back online for next year, because it's a tremendous amount of work for the staff in my office to process those all manually, because you're still taking the credit card, but you're doing it manually. So it's a process, and they've done really well keeping up and trying to do it, because we do have another way to do it, but it's such a manual process that it's really not easy. So hoping next year will be easier for everybody, but we're not there yet. So.
What did we lose?
We
The-
lost we
the
had
vendor?
Tyler online,
Yep.
and, like we do with all the departments over there. And the bridge pay component of that actually, it's always confusing. It's always one person taking the money and then another person processing it. So Tyler was doing the processing, but the one that was actually making the money go through, they couldn't get along with Tyler, so they left. And now we had to get another provider, and it won't even be done until probably this fall. So, yeah, that's not been very good. But that's something we implemented, I think the first year I was in office, we got that going, and it was working really well, and if only they could have gotten along. But we know how that goes. So that's been our biggest hang-up this year, is trying to process through all of that. But it's gone well, and actually everybody's been pretty understanding, most people. So that's good. We're right where we usually are this time of year with collections, so that's good. And I don't know what else. Our investments look about the same, and nothing interest-wise is about the same, a little over 4%.
Call Trust still the biggest?
Yeah, they're still the biggest, and they have two different funds really that we utilize there. And when one's not doing quite as well, the other one is, and we try to switch that around. I'm also going to be meeting with somebody that Travis sent my way about keeping the funds available for, keeping your funds so that they're doing the most good, I guess. So I will be meeting with them in a couple weeks. Don't really know if that's going to be cost effective or what it'll be, but we'll see where that is. So that's where we are. Any questions about anything?
No, appreciate it.
I don't think I have right now.
Okay, we're still boring, which is how we like it.
Yep.
Yes.
We like it.
All right, have
All
a good
right,
day.
thanks. Get that education out there that we're the treasury. We collect them, but then we just distribute them. All
We
right.
won't get to keep it all.
Grants Administrator, Miss Grubbs, what do you have for us? What are you working on as far as finding us
Working on this whole list right here, so.
millions?
Finding, well, the pause is a pause, so there's
Yeah.
not a lot of new, but I'm still looking for anything that may fit for the county. Working a lot with Robert, and he's guiding me in the direction of, where to look, how to look. Those are new things for me. I haven't done this really in this depth for many years. And also with Wanda Martin, she was taking care of all of the sheriff's grants, and so I'm doing that now. So that was a big learning curve on all of the portals and funding that they have currently, and then doing the quarterly reports and the reimbursement requests. So that's been a learning curve. So this is just kind of a list of where we are, what we have awarded, and these are some of these are multi-years. So we have a few that are about to be finished at the second quarter, in the sheriff's department anyway. Quite a few that are gonna be closing here pretty quick. What we've applied for since the pause has been, the CDS, we have not heard about that. The post-training grant for the sheriff's department, I believe we'll hear about that within the month, and the same with the taser upgrade. That would be the second part of the existing that we received. And then in process, we still have the JBBH or JBBS, and Jim Spratlin and I are gonna work on a natural disaster mitigation enterprise grant. That's coming up in a few months. James Dietrich and I are going to be working on a GOCO grant for the pass to Mesa Verde. Gaming Impact, working on that. And Mel and I have discussed the landfill capacity building grant for the recycling facility. So that's what we're working on right now. And I think that Mel is waiting on some numbers back from contractors to kind of see what that project would cost. Any questions?
So when Congressman Hurd was here, I know he had talked about he's now part of this infrastructure, or he's on the new committee for infrastructure. And I think he had asked if we could pull together some of the costs for down on County Road G. And they were very preliminary of some of that stuff.
They were extremely preliminary, but also with that, you needed to apply to the subcommittee prior to.
Right.
We had not done that.
Right,
And
but
that had
this would
already
be
closed.
moving forward. Is that anything that's gonna be
No, I
possible
mean,
down the road?
Robert
or-
and I looked at it, but once we got to the paperwork that said that we had to do the subcommittee first, we did not move forward.
Okay,
We didn't have enough time.
No,
That was due this week.
yeah, no,
And we had just, it was like really
I
not
realize
enough
that, but
turnaround.
basically for the next cycle.
For the next cycle, yes.
Which I don't know if that's a year, if they're 6-month cycles, I don't know what that CDS money
Yeah.
is.
I mean, we have all of that together. We're still looking at that, but for that one that you were talking about when Hurd sent that, we just didn't have enough time to get that together.
Right, and then the other stuff that we had sent him was all non-related to CDS money. It was all related to the WSAs and the other things like that. So, okay, that was my only question, just you know, where are we at in that cycle? Is it in the next 6 months, or is it down the road a year? I mean,
Year.
yeah, it could be, but just flag it to see if
Oh.
we can make sure that we
So
at
we need
least
to
get
start
in
with the
there.
Department of Transportation. And then, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Faedra, did you want to bring them up to speed on the cost reimbursement we learned about today on the Friata fights, or you want me to do that?
I wasn't really in that conversation.
Okay.
And I think that Robert wanted to wait until we actually see the money.
Gotcha.
We may get a reimbursement for the noxious weed.
Free out of
Free out of
fights.
We had to fight, yeah. But we have not seen the check yet, so we're kind of holding off to make sure.
But there's a potential.
Potential. One of the landowners received payment, so then we are anticipating we will receive a portion of that, 119,000.
Yeah, 119,000 of the 160.
So
So-
that would be great.
So we're $41,000 short of
What was supposed to get.
what we were supposed to get. Another reason why we don't have a free out of fight program. Can't keep funding the entire. Anyway, I'll stop.
Good man.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Questions at all? Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Faedra.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Travis Parker's sick today, so we're gonna go beyond Veteran Services. Miss Lockhart, I don't see her in here. So I guess we will go to the Solid Waste Act of CDPHE, the CLM composting. Dawn, do you want to come down? There's a whole lot in our packet on this one. And it sounds like there's a whole lot of no communication. So we did revoke this permit per the request of the property owner. And that,
Yeah, we actually, excuse me, pulled the certificate of designation from 49 Squares after we finally found out from somebody that it had been sold. CDPHE has been less than functional on this whole operation from day one. I requested new owner information if it was sold, when they signed contracts, and CDPHE didn't do anything. I was basically told that verbally they were told they could clean it up in the next couple of years and they're fine. And now, well, I can let Stephen elaborate on that. Now the Attorney General wants to go after them and wants to know if we want to get on board.
Yeah, basically, I was contacted by one of the attorneys within CDPHE, with the Attorney General's office there, but on behalf of CDPHE about this property. They want to initiate some kind of enforcement proceeding, either administratively or in district court. Legally, it's got a lot of similarities to the Ironwood situation because it's a violation of the Solid Waste Act that they're alleging, so it's kind of a similar legal framework. There's waste on the site, which we have some fairly recent photos of in the packet. They don't have the required certificate of designation, and so CDPHE's position is, this needs to be cleaned up, and if it's not going to be cleaned up, they're going to initiate some kind of enforcement process. And they kind of told me this is an area where the county and CDPHE have concurrent jurisdiction, so to speak. Both entities can initiate this kind of legal proceeding, and they say they like to partner with counties when they can, basically. And I said we can put it on the agenda. We'll put it up for consideration by the board, if that's something that the board wants to get involved with cleaning up. It sounds like CDPHE's planning on going ahead one way or the other, but they said, they would like to, let you guys know that they're going to be working on this and see if you want to join in the effort, essentially.
So let me go back and ask you a question, Don, because 49 Squares was never compliant. And I
That,
dealt with
that
this
site's
since
never been compliant in
2019.
Well, it started in '09.
Well, I know, but when we started dealing with it in 2019, it's never been compliant.
Correct.
They sold it, and at the request of Mr. Hicks, he said to deny it or to exclude it. So we revoked that permit. Like you said, it was in, I can't remember. what the date.
February of '24.
So we did that at his request.
Yeah.
So, but they can still continue to function out there?
They were told that they have 2 years to clean it up. My last correspondence to CDPHE was because you did nothing with them, no contractual obligations, no agreements, no oversight, no testing, that since you gave them a verbal, they are not operating as we would require a certificate of designation. And CDPHE being the oversight entity prior to and after anything that goes wrong, it's their responsibility.
So my question is, are they actually just cleaning up the site, or they're actually producing it?
Well, they're,
Or-
they're still processing some material. I think they may be selling random amounts, but I think they're basically using it, most of it themselves, on landscape projects. There hasn't been any fires there, so that's good. They are on site off and on, so there is some oversight. Nobody's testing any of the sample ports for arsenic. Nobody's testing the water in the pond. Nobody's doing anything, but nobody was doing much of anything before. CDPHE let 49 Squares walk away with and released their bond. They had a $138,000 letter of credit from the bank, and they gave it all back to them.
So I guess what's your recommendation? I mean, you're asking us to get involved with this with CDPHE, or is it, I mean, it's still in our county. We have to, I guess, what's your recommendation?
Mine is that the oversight that we've had to do continually has been adequate. We may want to confirm they still have the probe we gave them and that they're utilizing it. But if the county gets involved in this, you're going to go back 15 years of a nightmare, and I don't think you have an extra 1 or 2 attorneys to try and deal with this mess.
So what's
You
your
know,
recommendation?
there hasn't been any new material added to that
No.
site.
Nothing's
in probably
been
10
delivered
years
since
or
the
longer.
seltzer
think we
plant
quit.
That
burned
thing has
down.
been there ever
It's
since that seltzer plant quit.
quit.
Why, I mean, everything they're hauling off there's cleaning it up. Whatever they're doing, maybe they're not doing it as fast as they want, but I
Well, they had
don't,
2
I don't think
years,
that
right?
thing's hurting a thing. I think we're,
They had 2
We have-
years though to do it, right? And that hasn't been 2 years.
Well, I don't know, from what I can figure out is CLM bought it in about May or June of 2023.
so,
And for 18 months, CDPHE didn't do anything until I
So
kept
what's your
reminding them
recommendation,
that
Stephen, just let CDPHE deal with this? I mean,
I think it's really just up to the board if you guys want the county to support this cleanup effort in this way by bringing this action under the Solid Waste Act. I let CDPHE know I don't have a lot of capacity to partner in a practical sense on doing a lot of the work on this. So I think it's mostly just a question for the board. Is this something you want the county, named in as a party on this cleanup action? And then, maybe further down the line, we would do more substantive work on the thing. But right now, I think it's just like, do you want to partner with CDPHE on this cleanup under the Solid Waste Act to try to do this enforcement process? which you have some familiarity with now from our other case with Ironwood.
I don't know how you're gonna force a new company that was not bound to anything at the sale to try and take care of a non-compliance issue that's never been compliant for 15 years.
Yeah, that's there.
It's just a big black hole.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know,
So is that?
we're not getting anything out of it. We're not gonna get paid any fines.
No. Yeah,
I mean,
we're not getting paid anything anyway.
no.
Which has been pretty obvious. Is that a lot of that trash that looked like some of those pictures? I mean, they were far away, but some of that, is that trash?
There's a bunch of concrete chunks and
So,
junk that's been moved more to the back. And then they're processing the other material just kind of at random. I mean, why it was under CDPHE's guidance, it caught fire in 2023. But the on-site guy under 49 Squares did the right thing and took care of it, and worked with Jim and
there's really not that much more product left. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
No. That was,
Can you explain
Yeah.
that, Travis? Blow it up down there at the bottom?
Yeah, that pile there was up front, and they moved it to the back. So they kind of already stirred it up, but it's got trash, concrete, some iron.
Tires.
Just tarps, pieces of junk, plastic, whatever. Just a big pile of mess right there. Then the rest of it, of course, it's got the aspen chips. That's been slowly degrading and going down, especially after the fire where they took it, moved it, and moved it. And then they got the pile of logs all along one side there, and then they got some junk some old equipment. But it's not anywhere, it's underneath the 2015 International Code for storage of lumber and, biomass, so it's not an issue for that end. I mean, it could catch fire again, but you can see they got a very small operation going. The pile of compost is off to the side, right underneath that conveyor. And we looked at the last photos of 2021, I think, and it was a larger compost pile. And Daryl that was running it kept it, checked temperatures and did all kinds of stuff. And that lawsuit that they had, or the issue that they had with the water running off with those ponds that they're trying to collect, it's still collecting in that one pond. They've got another pond there that's really not anything but a catch-all for everything. But nothing's going into the creek that's going down to Mud Creek that I'm aware of, that I've checked on it just recently, went up there and took these photos, so.
Basically what it was, only it's smaller and less likely to
And
combust.
I don't think they're taking any more product right now at all, because I think
Well, under their
Aspen
their
consent and
previous
all that
consent
stuff.
order, they couldn't.
Yeah.
They were not allowed to receive any
They
material.
haven't taken any new stuff there in a long time,
No.
you know.
Yeah, because I think they're producing all that they produce.
Yeah, they're basically using up what's there, so
So we have no resources to help them, and if they want to do it, because I guess, am I kind of hearing this right, that let CDPHE
Yeah.
handle this?
If CDPHE has a problem with it, let them deal with it.
Okay. I mean, unless, I don't want to see trash being dumped out
Yeah.
there. I don't,
it's,
take away from the landfill and.
oh no, it's stuff that's been there.
Been there
It's-
for a long time. Okay.
That's the old pile. I haven't seen any, other than moving it, they haven't added any more trash. And again, I mean, we've got several mills in the area, and, some of those have got, what, 50 years worth of lumber and odds and ends, and they're fine the way they are. So I don't know. My personal opinion would be, well, we don't need to get involved in it. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see it cleaned up. It'd be nice. But at this point, it doesn't really affect any emergency management side, and it's not affecting the creek. I don't think they're testing the wells. I don't think they're ever going to test the wells anymore.
I think we had they were supposed to test it and send those reports in. I think we had 2 months. If I
They were
can
supposed, at
rely-
one point, they were supposed to have 8 quarters in a row, and they never
could
accomplished
receive 8
it.
quarters. I think they got 2.
But CLM knows nothing about
No.
sampling and what they're sampling for and the frequency and reports, because CDPHE's never, all they did is just threaten to have it cleaned up by August 1st.
Okay. Good with that? You have your direction?
Yeah, I'll just get back with CDPHE and tell them, we talked about it and the board isn't gonna take it up further.
Okay.
I mean, and the current owner, their plan is, when all that's cleaned up, is to actually start a functional processing facility again, get their certificate of designation. But I can't blame them. You bought it and nobody said anything, and nobody contacted you for a year and a half or 2 years. It's kind of hard to say you'll agree to a bunch of stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Anything else? Either one of you? Nothing? Okay. All right. Well, since we're talking about CDPHE and quality, come on down, Mel. We'll talk more about CDPHE. Where do you want to start as it refers to Regulation 31?
So Travis said on that meeting this morning, gentlemen, there's no way this landfill or this county can afford what this state's fixing to do to us. That goes with a lot of landfills in the state. There's just no way we can comply with these rules, especially the way they're written. We fall into one of the 17 landfills in the state due to our waste in place that we will either have to install a gas collection system or go into quarterly monitoring. Both of them are extremely expensive. You're talking more employees, more engineers, the tools. We'd have to install an anemometer at the landfill, way beyond what we have now for just getting wind speed for closure. The last one, Melissa installed with Arizona, that was $20,000. The instruments just to monitor this every quarter is another $20,000, not to mention all the costs if we do the quarterly monitoring. If we go into the gas collection system, depending on the size of the landfill, one of the engineers on the site or on the meeting, $3 to $5 million to install one of them systems.
For the system?
For the system.
For the system.
That doesn't
That-
include,
Yeah, that don't include all the extras, and then
No.
if
No,
you,
that's-
if you
that's-
make if you have one violation on the air monitoring, you
Yeah,
have
they-
to install this equipment.
right, if you
No
got
question.
one exceedance in a quarterly monitoring, you're gonna have to install it. And we fall, the regulation is between 6 and 1,800 megagrams per year. Right now, we're at 844 megagrams per year. So we fall into that. We either install the gas collection system or go into the quarterly monitoring. Both of them are extremely expensive. That's just on the gas collection side of this. This
Right.
doesn't include the bio cover for intermediate cover. which is totally unsustainable anyway. There's no way we can do it. There's nobody in the state that can produce enough compost to do this.
So
And-
did they have a alternative? What's the alternative
No
to the,
alternatives.
There's no alternative.
You will do this or else.
or the landfill closes?
And with the bio cover, it's not just adding bio cover, you have to keep the bacteria alive.
We'll
And how are you
have
gonna
to-
do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how we're supposed to do that either, because to keep compost active like that, you have to monitor the moisture in it, keep the microorganisms going. Well, we'd have to install a sprinkler system over the whole landfill to do this.
So
Where are we
what
gonna
were
get the
their,
water to even do
what
it?
were their solutions to the
We
questions?
don't have any yet.
They
Nobody
didn't-
has any solutions to this. This is a rule that they're putting in place, and it goes into effect in August.
And when are we supposed to comply to it?
It starts in August.
If you was to install the gas collection system, it's what, 72 weeks out, roughly?
Minimum,
Minimum.
which will put us out of compliance anyway. And every landfill, there's 17 of us that could fall into this, so there's no way. It's just physically and feasibly impossible for this facility to do what they're trying to do.
So I guess this is a good question for us to ask our senator that will be here and our 59th representative that will be here next week or Saturday, right? Is that Saturday we have that?
17th. Yep.
I've actually sent an email to Cleve Simpson already and a text asking him about this. And I guess we'll kind of see what they can come up with, because this was part of a bill that the legislature passed.
Right.
So without the funding mechanism behind it, I'm not sure how
How are they gonna pay for
they
it?
can,
I mean, this is their
they
mandate.
can
How are they
mandate.
gonna pay for it?
Well, and the absurd thing about this is so far beyond what federal requirements are.
Yes.
So one of the requirements for our landfill, I forget the exact terminology, is we have to be under 34 megagrams or something like that. We're at 3 for our landfill. So we were way under it until this came into effect. And this is way beyond any other state in the country. And Melissa Green, who is our air quality specialist with Weaver Consultants Group, she's been on the board and she runs air quality compliance for landfills all over, including sitting on the board and watching some of the stuff for Washington State. And they told Colorado, this isn't right. And Colorado would not listen to any of it and did it anyway.
And there was a section in the presentation today about certain violations, you're at risk of losing your insurance for the landfill.
So this happened with Mesa County, and it was a typographical error on a report, and it took her, I forget how many months she said, but they were fixing to lose their insurance over non-compliance. And it was just a typographical error on a report.
So has anybody asked them the question of what do we do if you get 50% of these landfills to stop their operation?
I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Has anyone asked that question to them? To
I don't know if,
CDPHE?
this all started the day I sent you guys the email,
Yeah.
so you're up on it about as much as I am. I don't know if Melissa and them have asked them that. I was on the phone with Jerry Anderson at CDPHE, and I asked some of these questions, and all I got was, yeah, that's a good point, you need to bring that up. I don't know. We just can't do it. It's just, there's, even the smallest landfill in the state
Well,
cannot do it.
and there's got to be alternatives. You can't just have compost
I agree.
that's,
there's no
that's not
alternative.
even manufactured. There's always an alternative in everything.
Travis sat there and listened on that meeting, as it is written, this is the way it is.
Okay.
And there's
Well-
nobody in the state that can comply with it.
Again, we can push this to our House representatives and our senator on Saturday, because we meet with them Saturday here.
And gentlemen, the letter that's in front of you is just a request for Mel to be involved in the party status. Basically allows him to give the voice. If you don't fill this form out, you're kind of
Right.
not in the game.
So that needs to be approved so we can get that submitted. That has to be done by Wednesday.
Yeah, we
So Get
can,
in there on on that. There
We
has
can
to be
approve it
emailed,
tomorrow.
5 emails that I sent to.
We'll just send it back to you and you can shoot it off.
All right, we'll do it.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on this too. So I got this in the packet here. I talked to Mel a little bit this morning. I've, skimmed through the proposed regulation. I looked a little bit into this issue of party status. So this letter appears to meet the minimum requirements for, what's required to attain party status. Mel's right that the deadline for this letter is Wednesday. There are some obligations that come with being a party to a rulemaking process like this. Mel would have to attend the status conference. He also would have the abilities to submit alternative proposals. He would be required to submit a pre-hearing statement prior to that hearing in August. And he would have an opportunity to basically testify as a party at this hearing. He would also have the ability to respond to all the other comments that are made in the hearing as part of rebuttal. So that's kind of what this letter is. It's a step to formally take part in this process as a party, and then I don't have a good understanding, frankly, at this point about the impacts. I've talked a little bit to Mel about what the proposed rule means and what it means for our landfill specifically. I've not really had a substantive opportunity to do any more background reading on that since I've started looking into this. But it sounds like we've got some big concerns about the proposal, so there's probably some advantages to being a party and participating in that way. Otherwise, you'd be limited to public comment, essentially.
Yeah, it's very important that y'all are on board with this and have a voice. Because
I definitely think that being at the table is better than not being
Absolutely.
at the table. So I don't have an issue with this at all, putting you in that capacity as long as you're willing to do that. I mean,
well, I'm going to stay in definite contact with all of you
okay.
on this. This is a serious deal, and this
So-
could run into millions of dollars.
So if we do the quarterly monitoring or if we have to then, the system is basically unreasonable,
Well, the whole thing
unequitable.
is, yeah.
But what does the quarterly monitoring cost us?
Don't know the total cost yet. They're going to be coming out with some estimates on that, but it's very expensive. It's going to run, it's extremely expensive.
Who is they?
The consulting firm.
Okay, so Weaver?
So we can designate somebody or hire somebody, because there's so many rules into the monitoring. You can only do it at certain times of day when the wind's not blowing more than 6 miles an hour, and it's just, you can't even feasibly do that with the winds we have around here. And if they fly over with a drone and see the methane, then we have 3 days, I think, to respond to that.
And the drones are highly expensive and they're highly inaccurate, is my understanding.
Do they make any consideration for naturally occurring methane?
No. They're gonna go by the waste in place we have at our landfill. And their deal is 450,000 tons of waste in place. Okay, we're sitting at right at 1 million right now. So that right there puts us into it.
Right.
So there's just no way, even the quarterly monitoring is gonna be so expensive. Until I get some figures from the engineers and other landfills, what that's gonna cost, but
So
our
our
landfill rates are
monitoring
gonna go,
that we do right now, is that annually or is it
Do what?
quarterly? The monitoring that we do right now, is that annually?
it's
or-
an annual report we send to EPA and the state.
We're gonna fill up every gully and ravine we've got around here. People won't pay those rates.
Well, that's my whole point in other landfills.
Yeah.
These rural landfills like ours cannot do this.
No.
And if you raise the rates to what it's gonna cost to cover these expenses, people aren't gonna pay it.
No.
And that defeats the purpose of this landfill, is to give people a place to sanitarily dispose of their waste where it's controlled. This goes beyond any reason whatsoever, and it's gonna defeat our purpose because people won't pay it. That's what I see happening in these rural areas.
All right, well, we can take this up tomorrow, and then we'll keep going down the road, and that's obviously a question that we'll ask the two on Saturday. Okay,
All right.
all right, thanks, Mel. Trent Woods, unintentional injury grant. Good afternoon. You want to pull up the information? All right, take it away.
So, there's an opportunity to apply for $10,000 in grant funding from
You can
CDPHE.
turn your mic on, please.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. And get it
Apologize.
as close as you can. Yeah.
So applying for, the intention here is to apply for a $10,000 grant through the one and only CDPHE. The focus of this grant would be to work on child passenger safety and to prevent youth traumatic brain injuries. So we try to source car seats and developmentally appropriate bike helmets for children and try to give them away at little to no cost through some various methods, some clinics that we can do like at early childhood care centers, using things like farmers markets, maybe Thursdays, and then also trying to get education materials out there so that not only are people going to get these things, but they're actually going to use them so they're not just like sitting and collecting dust.
Okay. Is this pretty consistent with the number that we've used in the past, the $10,000 for car seats?
I don't, this is not associated with any historical things that we've done
Okay,
around car
so
seats
this
other
is brand
than,
new.
yeah. The funding that we previously had has been used up and everything. This is an opportunity for us to actually continue offering the car seat program that we've had through the health department. So this is just, yeah, a request to pursue application for
Right.
funding.
Right.
I have a problem with this.
Commissioner?
No, it's good.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Quick and easy. Thank you. Okay, I'm going back. I see Miss Emily here now. We will talk about some CSU extension.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Sorry, you guys are going through your agenda. I miscalculated there, which is great. That you're going quickly. But so I hopefully created a little PDF that's easier for Travis to go through here. But Tierney and I have both been busy. Todd's been out at the orchard. Spring has sprung. So just have a few things that we've been up to here with some pictures. And this is, Tierney had the opportunity to take kiddos to the National 4-H Conference. So this is in Washington, D.C., and these are kids from all over Colorado State. And so CSU sponsors this for different 4-H specialists and kids to go. So that was a really great educational opportunity for all those kids. And Tierney learned a lot just at the national 4-H level. So that was pretty interesting. The next one, Tierney, she partnered with Montezuma School to Farm, and they hosted a barnyard at Minkus School. So this is just kind of like a opportunity for kids to see. They had sheep, goats, a mule, horse, rabbits, and chickens to educate kids on where their food comes from. So you see that kiddo petting a little piggy. Then Tierney also had 3 leaders get certified to teach 4-H shooting sports. And so this is a long weekend training. So kudos to those leaders for the time and dedication that they put into that to be, educated and skilled in that. So we really appreciate that they take the time to do that. And we do have a really strong shooting sports program here, which is really, really great, and because of our wonderful leaders. The next picture is, you can see Temple Grandin there. So this was a very well attended event on Friday. So not this past Friday, but the Friday before, the 2nd of May. Temple Grandin came, and that's a picture of her with youth out at the fairgrounds, and she gave a presentation there. And so we had kids from Montezuma County, Dolores, La Plata. Kids came up from the Farmington area, and she talked about, her life story, her, work with animals, and then, her experience with autism and, kids of different backgrounds and how they can be successful. And then the next day, we hosted a beef quality assurance training with Libby Bigler and Temple Grandin, and that was out at the Yellow Jacket Sale Barn. And so we had about 70 people who attended that, about 50 people who completed the beef quality assurance quizzes. So that means, livestock producers, beef producers can take that, and Libby quoted that folks who are beef quality assurance certified get about $16 more per head. And so when she mentioned that, people pulled their quizzes out and started completing them, which it trains, on things like proper injection sites, just general best practices for taking care of your animals. And a lot of these things people already know, but it's just a lot of great information and kind of reaffirms some things. And folks might learn a little, a few tips and tricks for just how to be a little up to date. And it was fabulous to see. I don't know if there was another picture, if that was the only one I put in there. Both Libby and Temple kind of talking back and forth, and Zane Odell put some cattle onto the scale there. They're just talking about how they were moving. That was my favorite part of that whole day, just listening to how Temple Grandin was observing those animals. And she definitely sees things. She's like, oh, do you see how those, steers balked? And there's just like one line, and it kind of changes from sawdust to concrete. And she just picks up on those things. So from a livestock behavior standpoint, it was a really interesting day, and really appreciate the sale barn, the new cafe out there catered for us, and all the folks who attended. Then, very different from all of that, there was a lure grant that you all approved me to apply for, and so we've kicked off that gardening series, and it's been incredibly popular. So we had a seed starting class, and we were able to give folks seed trays so they could go and plant their own seeds in the class. And it was taught by Matt Kiefhofer. And it was so popular. The first one, we had like 35 people, so we offered a second one, and we had about another 30 people who attended that. And that was at Good Sam's. So that has been really great feedback on those. These are some pictures, kind of hard to tell, but the Mancos Conservation District and the Dolores Watersheds Collaborative hosted a PJ symposium, and we did a field tour of a private landowner, some fuel mitigation work that he has done near Mesa Verde National Park, and then this was a burn scar, that picture to the right of PJ, or an area that was dominated by PJ when that fire came through. It's really not, the seedlings aren't coming back. So questions of, is this just the succession we're looking at? Do we reseed? And there's kind of a lot of questions out there. I'm not a forester, but it was really fascinating to learn and hear what different folks are thinking of. And some of these trees are on a time scale that are much longer than our human time scale. So one person said, well, when will we know what the best strategy is? And I was like, well, in about 200 years, So so we have to be patient with those things. But I learned a lot, and it was interesting gathering.
Who's going to monitor that?
I guess it's just one person after another. Those kids who attended, our 4-H events, they'll be in charge of that at that point. And this is in succession of when these things were held. We also had a herb class, so just about growing herbs. And this is, oregano, basil, those types of herbs, just to be clear, to YouTube land. So that was also a super fun class. We had some other funding working with Nicole Clark from La Plata County Extension for this Garden to Kitchen series. So this teaches how to container garden, and then teaches some, pretty basic cooking skills for how do you use the things that you're producing, tomatoes. So we've talked about tomatoes, peppers, herbs, and then leafy greens like lettuce, kale, things like that. So got Tierney to do a little of her FCS skills and teaching classes, knife skills, how to make something a little bit nutritious. And then we were able to have folks who were able to pot up some different plants and take them home. So they were excited about that. Then we hosted a drought planning workshop, which not as fun for some people, but for the folks who attended, I hope that was really valuable information. Just it's, providing information about, what data can you collect from, say, SNOTEL, or looking at, selecting dates for making decisions. So taking the stress out of making decisions when it gets stressful if we need to sell cattle, and creating, timelines and plans for when those decisions might need to be made. And also just what are those resources out there for decision making. So you have the best information that you have to make these decisions instead of feeling, pretty hopeless. So we can't change the weather, but we can try to plan for things as best we can. So had Retta Bruger, our regional rangeland specialist there. Gus Westerman came. We had a water specialist who zoomed in for us for talking about some irrigation management. And so that was a good workshop. And if anybody is interested in drought planning, so that's something that part of the Colorado Drought Advisors, which is led through CSU. So if people want to make a drought plan, that's something that I can help them do. Then we have some upcoming workshops. So we have a pizza garden workshop. So this is a workshop that is talking about ingredients for making a pizza. And so I was able to actually ask Nana Myers from Pueblo Food and Siege. So she's going to talk a little bit about dough. And then we'll talk again about things like tomatoes, peppers, basil, and oregano. So pepperoni not included. Ha ha ha.
I was going to ask you where you get pizza seeds.
So there's a lot of jokes. So we'll see if my communication skills go on this flyer. Yeah.
Right down the
Grow
road.
your own.
Yeah. Well, come to the workshop and
I
you'll
guess
find
that
out.
was why I was asking you guys if you'd ever been to the James Ranch, because everything that they feed you that night is what they have raised, grown.
Mm-hmm.
We had burgers that night, so it was their local burgers, and then they have a kind of a walk that you can kind of walk down. And I'd never been there, first time for me, which would have been a lot more pleasant had it not been raining and snowing. But
well, similar concept that you can grow a lot of your ingredients to make a lot of different things. So just trying to connect some dots there. And then we held our first, I don't know if Sproutin's been in here to tell you all about it, but we held our first community animal response team kind of info session. We had a pretty good turnout on that, and so we're just following up with that to do a little bit more, paperwork. Gonna get some t-shirt sizes, just talking about some different equipment that we'll be getting for that. So that is this Thursday, the 15th, at the sheriff's office. So we've been sharing that out, and we'll keep working on this cart team. We're just kicking it off. We know it's a busy time of year, so if folks aren't able to make it right now, it's not it's not the end. They can join later, and hopefully we'll do more in the fall. So then we have it was a busy week, have a plant walk this Friday with Ute Mountain Ute. Then on Saturday, have a prescribed fire celebration, just kind of an info session explaining about, why prescribed fires happen. I know the Forest Service gets a lot of calls about that, and just talking about how we can use prescribed fires for hopefully preventing some of those big fires. So if people do have questions, they want to learn more, we're going to actually visit a fire burn footprint. There'll be lots of folks that are very knowledgeable about this that you can come talk to. So this will be at the Boggy Draw parking lot, and there'll be lunch provided. So come on up this Saturday. And then we all know, food prices are, food's expensive, and there's a lot of need. And so trying to promote this program called Grow and Give, and the food pantries definitely have a high need from folks, and, are just don't have a lot of funding sources for sourcing food. So this is a way that, people from our own community can donate, and then trying to match that so that it's easy to donate. People understand when they can donate, how to reach out to different people to get information about growing food. And it's the idea is you can grow more in your own garden and then donate it to your local food pantry. So we're getting that out. I know I always have extra zucchini, right? So when the zucchini's flowing, you're leaving it at your neighbor's doorstep to try to get rid of it, but maybe instead you could take it to the food pantry. So
Ding dong dash, here's your
yeah.
I don't think I've ever gotten any.
Well, yeah, guess I need
Oh,
to.
Oh, just you guys, huh?
Yeah, just
You don't dare
them.
leave your truck unlocked or unattended or.
Yeah, I like you guys too much to overwhelm you with zucchini. So, but
Alright.
I'll throw some in your mailbox next time.
Zucchinis and cucumbers.
Yeah. Okay.
All
So
good?
those are our main updates. Tierney also has a livestock judging team. She's been doing a livestock quiz bowl with them, practicing for this. The third week of June is when they have their competition. Then she said their livestock committee, they're putting on and IFA are putting on a show clinic for sheep and goats, as well as a jackpot for swine, goats, and sheep members. So that's coming up, and already in the thick of getting ready for fair. And she said they have 135 market animal exhibitors for the 2025 fair, and they just had tag-in on May 4th. So they are getting up. And another thing, they had 10 4-H members who attended the San Juan Basin Camp, and then they have kind of regional elected 4-H roles, and Montezuma County swept the house and has all of the elected officials of those 4-Hers. So I think we have a lot of great leaders coming out of our program, which is really, really great to see those kiddos stepping up and then filling those leadership roles that are beyond even our county council for regional positions. So we can all be proud of that.
Very good.
Okay.
I saw you guys going out Saturday evening, or I don't know if it was you or Tierney.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a Suburban full of kids, like 5:30-ish.
This Saturday?
Yeah.
What
I'm
was
sure it
she
was
doing?
Saturday.
She had, I don't know about this Saturday. She had tag-in. That was on The Days Are Melting Together. I don't know if that was the 4th. So I don't know what she was doing on this Saturday.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, she's, uses that Suburban. We appreciate that for transporting kids. I wonder if it was a few weekends ago, it might have been the San Juan Basin Camp.
No, it was
this?
this weekend.
Okay. I don't know.
Because I was at a graduation, I was all over Saturday.
Okay. Well, I do not know.
From starting at
Yeah.
6:30 a.m. from the bike race to graduations at the firehouse to, Saturday was an extremely busy day.
Yeah. Well, my mind is drawing a blank right now, but I'm sure she was doing something really fun with those kids. So.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, guess we'll see it fair before we know it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, appreciate it. And I don't see Laurel or Bobby in here, so I'm assuming.
I'm going to do this for him, Commissioner.
Oh, okay.
This is already, was approved back in February, and this is just a contract that I think, Commissioner Tanglery, you got via DocuSign for that approval back in February. It's for the nurse family partnership, and obviously the goals: improve pregnancy outcomes, improve child health and development by helping their parents, and improve the economic self-sufficiency of the family. And I believe the fiscal year is 472, 244.79. And again, this was approved back in February.
This is just an amendment?
This is just the amendment, yeah. So no need for them to come over after it's already been pre-approved. So
Okay. I'll look at my DocuSigns, but this would have, I haven't gotten anything in the last couple of days.
isn't this the one that you sent last week?
Or
We
maybe
get
it-
so many that it's hard to keep track of, but I believe this is the one you got last week.
Okay, and that's one I sent to Stephen. Okay. Perfect. The last thing that I have that's not on the agenda, I got a phone call late and I think I told him to give you a call or follow up with an email, was Cesar DeVille. Basically that the tariffs are going to affect us on the 3 vehicles we ordered for our fleet. He said it would be about a $23 a month increase, or we could work it out and do something on the backside of it. So reach out. I haven't seen an email from him yet today. I don't know if you have, but that was late Friday afternoon when he left that voicemail. So follow up with that one also. And the reason I thought about it too is because when I saw that Suburban leaving, I'm like, dang, that's just the tariff. But I mean, it's $23 a month is what he told me. So, but we need to follow up with that too. I know it was not on the agenda, but I did want to bring it up. Anything else, gentlemen? All right. Well, then we have come to the end of our agenda and we are adjourned. Thank you all.